Nigeria's governor of central bank, Laimi Cardoso, said if not for certain interventions from the central bank, inflation could have hit 48%, or 42.8% at the end of December of 2024. He's made these comments at the 2025 Monetary Policy Forum, talked about the FX reforms are attracting foreign investors into Nigeria, said the backlog of $7 billion has been cleared. He also said excess Naira liquidity is still a concern. And he also talked about the international money transfer operating inflows coming into Nigeria for the first quarter of last year at 4.1 billion, a 79% increase compared to the same period in 2023. Now, he did also mention the cash reserve ratio, the CRR, as one of the measures having been taken as part of the meetings that they took at the MPC to try to change things as far as monetary policy path for Nigeria is concerned. Now, we did have Mustafa Chika Mbonu, who is the chair of the Bank Directors Association of Nigeria, along with Tilewa Adebayo, CEO of the CFG Advisory. Here is what the chairman of the Bank Directors Association had to say about cash reserve ratio.
I'm glad you asked the question. The biggest impact on that interest rate spread is regulatory, and it is the CRR. Nigeria has the highest CRR, cash reserve ratio, in the world at 50%. The next to Nigeria is Turkey, and you know Turkey had serious financial issues at 25. You have places like Malaysia and Indonesia at 2%, China at 9%, we're at 50. What this simply means is that for every Naira deposit a bank gets, they must give half of it to CBN, 50%, at 0% interest rate. So what we do is that if we're going to take a deposit that we should pay 20% for, we pay 10% because we're giving 10, we're giving half of it to CBN. That's the biggest impact on the spread, on the interest rate spread, by far.
All right, also in power, the electricity sector, the federal government has apparently set a target of $23.2 billion aimed at transforming Nigeria's energy sector. Of that amount, $15.5 billion is expected to come from the private sector to drive last-mile electrification. It's part of a statement that was issued in Abuja by Bolaji Tunji, who's the spokesman to the Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu. Joining us to discuss these news bits, of course, is our Rise business analyst, Chika Mbonu. Good morning to you, sir. You're very welcome. Happy Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
Oh, yes, indeed. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you. So what would you like to tackle first?
Let's start.
CRR, something you've talked about a lot.
The erudite Tilewa Adebayo and Mustafa Chika Mbonu. I mean, they had their three ties where they published a report on that, the interest rate dynamics, basically the spread.
Yeah.
Which I listened to closely. Now, I mean, the truth is this: the interesting about economists is if you bring about 5, 6, 7 economists in the room, on this topical issue, you may have on one hand, you hear the other person on the other hand, and generally the points they raised were valid. I mean, as a very good published paper is very good, but a lot of times you have to look at things totally in perspective.
Yeah.
And you don't forget where you are coming from.
Right.
I use, unfortunately, this is the wrong time to use aviation examples because of the challenges we're having the crashes we're having in the US. The medicines of those that died, rest in peace. But you see, when the plane is in turbulence, big turbulence, everybody's praying and shouting to the pilots, do everything to save us.
Yeah.
Do everything to save us. And the pilot is doing everything. And then once the plane is out of the turbulence and the guy puts, switch on seatbelt again, that's when the passenger remember, where's my tea I ordered? Where's my bread? Where's my salmon? And everything, and so on and so forth. This was an economy that was facing a lot of challenges. You do recall that at the time, when the naira, the dollar naira rate was regulated, FX subsidy, petroleum subsidy was moved out. You know how exchange rate moved from a particular rate, about 600, 700 to 1,000, and a lot of economists came out and said, if we don't reach 10,000, it will be a miracle.
Yeah.
Some people, said that they've done their calculation and its minimum rate is $1 to 7,000 naira and so on and so forth. But I mean, those predictions didn't come true.
Yeah.
And you know how we came out from the COVID era. You know what happened? The issue was all the economies of this world were pumping the local currencies into the economy, you know, because people were not working. So people have money and to buy things. However, supply was growing, but remember, production was at a stop.
Yeah.
So whereas you had demand, supply was almost nil. You know, so and that's what we faced, and that's what Nigeria was exacerbated. You saw the report that I said in this program about 2 or 3 years ago that Nigeria is a broke country, and the only way we could have been foreign a country must be through ways and means, which is printing of naira. And a lot of people said, no, how is that possible? But you saw what happened subsequently. That I think the ways and means balance was almost about 30 trillion naira.
Yeah.
So the quantum of naira in the system was so much, and the number one problem we had was inflation.
Yeah.
Rotis, I told you in this program that at the time I had a health challenge, the doctor told me that the health challenge required me to take steroid.
Yeah.
And steroids were going to make me balloon and be fat.
Yeah.
But the consequence was my eye. The man said, when I was lamenting about my being fat, he said, make a pick.
A choice, yeah.
Do you want to be fat or do you want to be blind?
Gotcha.
You know, and so the truth is that when you come to the table with an economy comes to the table with so many sicknesses, inflation being one of them, especially runaway inflation, you need to tame that with all the tools that you have.
Right.
You know, that's basically what the country faced. And if the tools, as I've said in this program, explain to our viewers that the tools, sadly, that you use to, you know, cure maybe diabetes,
Might have a side
effects.
Yeah.
So the tools that you use to cure inflation, which is basically drying up, you know, increasing interest rate, or drying up liquidity in the system through increase in CRR, increase in monetary policy rate, will affect economic growth.
Right.
Because people will borrow less.
Right.
And when people borrow less, they cannot buy production materials, they can't buy equipment and stuff like that. But the issue is that you need to tame inflation. Because if you don't tame inflation, every other thing is, you know, we lose everything. The plane is going to crash.
Gotcha.
The economy is going to crash. And that was what the central bank and the monetary authorities faced. And you could see at each monetary policy committee meeting, and that's what they were chasing. Now, you will suddenly be hearing them talk about disinflation now, which basically the inflation has plateaued.
Yeah.
And they were thinking about how to come down from that level. The other thing that happens also that if you're fasting for 30 days without eating, after you're fasting, the doctors don't say don't go and eat a bag of rice. Or that the food will kill you.
Right.
So there must be a gradual process to come down from that mountain and then start reducing inflation to that. So as the dynamics, inflation is being moderated. I think all the tools that were used to chase it, namely CRR at 50% now, monetary policy rate at 27.5, you know, will also be, you know, reversed slowly to enable the economy, you know, stabilize again. I think that's the direction of Central Bank of Nigeria and the monetary authorities. And that's basically that. So the dynamics of interest rates, whether lending or deposit rate in the economy, you know, there are market issues and they're driven by so many other factors. I can understand Professor Chika Mbonu because he's also every 1 naira that they sterilize reduces the profit of the banks.
Exactly.
We understand that. But the issues are there, germane. The economy was in total distress. Inflation was a runaway and it needed to be tamed. And the tools the central bank had to do that were the things I've done. Increasing CRR, increasing monetary policy rate. At that time, everybody was screaming, when are we getting a little more comfortable? Like I said, the plane is out of turbulence. So now you remember that in first class, you need salmon and, you know, 1960,
so
20-year-old Glenfish drink, what these people drink. You know, so that's basically that. So I think, but having said that, there are a couple of points you mentioned, which I've thought about in the system. There's a need again to look at the AMCON levy. Right. Because as you said, you can see they listed the issues causing this rate. One of them was regulatory. So they need to look at that. And hopefully the government to start looking at that and see that this is relevant because they're costing the banks a lot of money. Windfall tax, well, that's not there. Remember after post-COVID also, the oil sector in UK that profited so much from it, they hit them with that. And that's basically that. The shareholders of the bank we lose some money, but systematically equalizes the economy. So those are my takes on that.
Rise business analyst Chika Mbonu. Chika, let's talk power on Monday when we have you back on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to break these things to us. We appreciate you as always.